pegged. Yeah. Crypto's going to zero. Yeah. We're all fucked. Yeah. Crypto's going to zero. We're fucked. Buy gold. Buy silver. Buy copper. Buy tulips. Anything. No crypto. No crypto. Going to zero. You dumb bitch. Yeah. One man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. My name is Blizzard Boy Crypto, because if you are in certain areas of the United States, you are getting walloped over the next couple of days. So if the the crypto stuff has you down, don't worry. You also will not be able to leave your house for 4 days. I am with Crypto Ewok, my friend and co-host, as always. Welcome into everybody in the chat. We got Philly, Viper Styles, Bitfinesse, Degen Moonboy, Valiant Lowkey, The Rat, Don Swan, some of the normals, Scrubhead. Thank you all for being in here. We appreciate you being here. That's right. Broke Boy Gangsta. I don't know who that was before the show started. I heard that as well. But anyway, we got a big show for you tonight. Crypto feels like a ghost town. Where is everybody? Where have they gone? Is Bitcoin going to zero? Is Ethereum, which is already closer to zero, going? Just a lot of very contentious opinions. Are we going into a bear market? Is this going to be? It's a new paradigm. Nobody has any idea what's going on. I think that's one thing that we can say that seems more abundantly clear than ever. No one knows what's going to happen. More exactly than ever. Yeah. So we don't have to totally get to that point yet, Ewok, but how are you feeling on this very cold January evening?
Stocking up on milk, bread, and toilet paper. I think that's the MO for the next day or so. I'm feeling good. What are you going to do? We're not going to sell, right? I think I advised to you yesterday or the day before, I think maybe we should stop DCAing until these people decide that they're finally out, because it seems like every time you DCA, someone else is selling using you as exit liquidity. So let's let this thing bottom out and see what happens. But other than that, again, what are we going to do? Sell? I don't think so. So just staying away from it. That's about it.
Yeah, that is pretty much it. And we push forth, and some people don't push forth. Some people push sell and have left, and that's totally fine as well. But yeah, we got a lot of macro stuff to get to tonight. The world is still turning. We got a lot of drama going on with Trump, which a lot of people are blaming some of the volatility, not just in crypto, but in markets overall, on the never-ending Trump negotiations. Will he, won't he, all these different things. So we'll get into that. Gotta hear from you guys in the chat. We appreciate all of you. It's already very active there tonight, listing off emergency items to buy, it looks like, at the store. Don't forget toilet paper. We remember what happened during the pandemic. Yeah, so you need
Viper Styles, I would refresh something. The intro's not still playing, so
if I were you, I'd keep going back and listening to the intro because it was pretty good. So. Yeah, let's launch into where we're at. I think the word of the day starts with an M, and it's manipulation. We've been talking about it for a long time, Ewok, and we witnessed it today. We've got Bitcoin right now at 89.8. It's been over 90 today. It's been at 89. It's been at 87. It's been at 86, I think, almost. Yeah, and everywhere in between. We've got ETH literally like right at the dot on 3,000. It was 31. It was 28. It was 27. It was 29. Yeah, just moving up and down based on any little piece of news that is coming out today. I mean, is it really the news or just people that are already pumping and dumping it in the short term, orchestrating, trying to scare people out? I don't know. Just simply trading. Either way, we know there's lots of manipulation and weird moves that went on all throughout the shit year that was 2025 in the crypto space happening still right now. And some of these movements are really disappointing. Last week we were somewhat positive on the show Ewok because the year had been positive so far. I mean, Bitcoin, and it still is. I mean, it's been pretty much green for the year until it took a dump this past week and everything went, smack down back to normal. But January had been good. And we know that for Bitcoin, 2025 was a red year, in fact, which nobody probably believes, but it was. And we've been off to a good start. There were positive vibes, all the macro things lining up. Could this be the year? And as it is in crypto, it takes a few days to wipe out that sentiment entirely. And now all those things are still happening this year. I mean, to my knowledge, the money printer is still going off. There's a lot of things going on that are very positive, but the price action looks bad again and heavily manipulated. So I don't know. What do you make of where we're at? Nobody can really be too sure these days, but what do you make of this price action?
Yeah, manipulation. That's what I'm seeing. And the more I think about it, we'll get into this topic a little bit later, but I really think that the banksters have a little bit of something to do with this. Wouldn't be surprised if they've all gotten together. I mean, I think I sent you this earlier this afternoon, but what $200 billion worth of things were liquidated just today. People had longs set up and it went down, and then they had shorts set up and it went back up, and then they set longs again and it went back down. So it's crazy. $200 billion of liquidations happened today. I don't understand, first of all, where some of these people are even coming up with that kind of money, let alone trying to play this crazy manipulated market at this time. I mean, I think there are hunters out there, liquidation hunters, that are just capitalizing on every chance they get. So just crazy to me how the movements are happening. Let's look at the trend lines. Even we are, when you zoom out here on the bigger picture, at least the good thing is we are hovering, even though it's right below this trend line. We're sticking with it. It's still at an upward trajectory somewhat, although it has pulled away from it in the last, like you said, last couple days, last week. Since the last show, we were, I think, right on it, and said this is important. Can we get above it, or is it going to fall even further? And I've got some of these target lines or important lines throughout the course of Bitcoin's life marked. And the next one that has some support is 75,000. So do we go there? Do we hold this trend line? Is there enough that keep people interested, or does it really take its kind of own shape and pull back? I think that's kind of the important part now. I mean, like I said, we know it's manipulated. So will they do this just to keep people interested somewhat and keep people putting in longs and shorts? I guess that's yet to be seen. We had a shorter year. I started this trend line here a little while ago too. And it's broken below that too. This was our yearly kind of, remember how we said things are looking pretty good start of the year. Things were climbing up nicely. And if it had stayed on that trajectory, a nice even pace, kind of, slow, quiet, steady, catch people off guard, it's fine. And, it broke below that now too. So this was just today and yesterday. We haven't ticked over yet for the new day, but within yesterday and today, that has, like you said, it's taken out everything over the past month, essentially, in basically 2 candles. So
Yeah.
it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to, it slowly build it up like that, and then all of a sudden just gets decimated in 1 or 2 daily candles. So yeah, I don't know what to think. We can look at gold, how gold is still, when you pull back here, it's still on an upward trajectory. And, my opinion is that it's got to cool off at some point. Usually when that happens, it starts to feed into the other things. But until this settles down, it was like 48. I think it was up to almost 49. It was almost at 4,900 earlier. And, it has pulled back a little bit. But again, gold and silver, I think, really need to cool off before we can see anything on our side of things. So that's what I'm seeing.
So a lot of good points brought up that I want to go a lot of directions. So Bitcoin, like you talked about, a lot of support at 75K. I mean, there you're basically talking about, for all intents and purposes, the old all-time high from 2021 era. I mean, from 69 to 75, kind of that range. I mean, at this point, do you feel like we might as well just take an elevator down to there right now? Because there's just, it seems that this thing is magnetized to going back into the 80s. Everybody, the overwhelming majority of people, are calling for 55K, lower than that, by the fall of this year. I don't know. Do you think we're destined for 75K at this point? Or, I mean, I think everybody's expecting it. Everybody is expecting 85 again, 80, 75. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think we go there?
No, I don't. I mean, not right now, but especially if everybody's expecting it, and I'm still seeing mixed emotions across the board. Some people are saying that we're in a full-on bear market. This is it. That was it. It was done. The 128, 130K top was it. And now it's done. There are other people that are quietly saying, man, this is when things usually heat up. They're seeing, patterns of things right before it goes parabolic again. And people aren't expecting it. That's another thing too, is just people aren't expecting much. And usually when things run, that's when it happens. When so many people have given up or walked away from it. People, but I think institutions are still slowly buying this, manipulating it just enough to keep some people interested, but yet to fill their bags. There's a lot of things in Congress that are happening. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that later too. Different bills that are being signed and some being opposed. And yeah, I think the banks are behind a lot of this though, which again, we'll get into.
So, real quick, we can touch on Ethereum because I want to go back to the precious metals thing. There's precious little metals.
Precious metals.
But with Ethereum, I forget what my. Oh, okay. So, I mean, anybody that's bearish on Bitcoin right now is obviously, doom and gloom forever. ETH is a shit coin. They think that Ethereum, wipe your ass with it, basically.
Yeah.
How do you marry these couple things? Like, because the Bitcoin maxis are out in full force. It's always been only Bitcoin. You're all idiots. It's very easy to describe a chart to someone when it's presently happening, obviously. You know what I mean? But how do you marry these two things? All the things that are happening with Ethereum, the fact that governments are using Ethereum for stablecoins. There's an Ethereum ETF. Why does it suck? I just, is it ever going to come back? Do we get a year this year where maybe Bitcoin just hovers around and doesn't do anything crazy, but ETH and altcoins finally just stagnate or move up a little bit? You know what I mean? It's insane how horrible Ethereum has been for the last 4 years.
Yeah, it's done nothing. I mean, yes, Bitcoin did make a new all-time high, but not much. I mean, it didn't even double. I don't know. It didn't even double. It got to 69,000. So it didn't even get to 140. So if you want to call that really doing something, yeah, maybe the ETFs and that was basically Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy that did that. So why did ETH not, when there's so many bullish things? Well, we could go back to the manipulation part, right? I mean, I think there are a lot of people that understand that if they want the world to become tokenized, stock market, things like that, they talk about doing their own private block streams have really never survived. So I think the really only feasible way to do something like that is to use Ethereum or one of the other proven chains that are already out there and in use. So I think there are still institutions out there that are trying to load bags before they say, all right, it's time, let's go. The other thing is the general public. There's still no retail. People aren't interested. They got bashed. It's been a really rough bear market, and I think a lot of people have walked away. So just no interest yet, and there hasn't been reason to have interest. Nothing's really taken off. There's not been a narrative, really. I mean, we kind of have the privacy narrative that worked for a little while, right? Zcash took off for a little while, but then all of a sudden they went and decided 6 of them were going to quit or something like that. So that one tanked. So it's just been so strange, and I feel like there's really no good answer, no rhyme or reason to what we're seeing, why we're seeing it, other than these major institutions are still just messing with the price and trying to fill their bags quietly while no one's watching. And eventually it's going to do something. I don't think it's over. I really don't. In an honest opinion, I don't think it's over. I don't think we've even seen a run, even for Bitcoin. And why, I think you asked something about why the Bitcoin maxis, obviously they hate everything that's not Bitcoin. So I really don't even value their opinion. I like the all around people who view the whole market as kind of a whole entity and not just Bitcoin. So yeah, I think there's still so much more at play here, and when the time is right, it's gonna run. It's just a matter of waiting it out and sticking around to be there. But as far as DCAing right now, I think we pump the brakes on it. Let the true people, the ones that really want out, let them out, and then maybe we can run. But for right now, I feel like you're just being exit liquidity if you're still DCAing at this point. That's all.
In the short term, anyway, possibly.
Right.
Yeah. From Philly, and I think this is really the big picture. I mean, this is exactly what it is. The cost of living isn't helping. I mean, people have been they don't have money. I mean, it's just been like that for a few years now. Yeah, people can't buy homes anymore, or they are buying homes, and it's like an extremely ill-advised thing to do. But when you want to buy a home, like, what are you going to do? Wait a decade to do it? It's just so difficult for anybody to get ahead and things like that right now. And I mean, I'm all for pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, doing everything you can possibly do in your power, leaving no stone unturned. But at the same time, it is very difficult right now for a lot of people. Back to and that takes me back to like everything pumping, and Bitcoin, you can say did pump throughout 2025, but everything pumping, but like Ethereum and the altcoin market. I mean, we've seen the stock market do well. We've seen precious metals now like screaming to new all-time highs. If people don't have money in all these things and, are not putting anything into risk on assets, which not that gold and silver are risk on, it's usually a flight to safety type of thing. Why are we seeing these valuations go up in these other entities, stocks. We see the Russell 2000, which is basically the shit stocks in the US, like the penny stocks and stuff like that. It is like at all-time highs, which is very encouraging. And you wonder when it's going to spill over into this industry, or if people just need to have more money. So why do you think like gold, silver, all these things are doing so well, and we uniquely are, just experiencing the worst bear market ever still?
As far as gold goes, I've had this strange opinion, and I don't know how well founded it is, but I don't know if you remember some time ago whenever there was supposed to be an audit at Fort Knox.
Oh yeah, I do.
And
Elon was like behind that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we never heard anything more about it. My opinion was the gold wasn't really there, or not to the extent of what it should have been. So they're maybe quietly trying to replace it, meanwhile creating a shortage at the same time. That's kind of what I thought was going on here all along on this run up. But there is no proof. It's just a real far out theory, maybe, that they're trying to get that stash back there, and replace a lot of the gold that should have been there in the first place. Again, no founded proof or anything like that. It's just one of those far out, is that really maybe what's happening there? Because there is a run, and obviously it has taken off like an unbelievable amount. So
Yeah.
go
ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, and I don't think this is time to ratio trade. There is so much manipulation that I just wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't, man. You can do what you want. It's your money. But yeah, I just trying to ratio trade with so much uncertainty right now is extremely difficult. Even when things are being somewhat predictable, it's hard. But right now, I don't think is a good time to do it at all.
And Viper, if I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comments, but I think he's specifically talking about people like getting out of gold, getting out of silver, and getting into crypto, because that's what we were talking about kind of.
Yes. So earlier, that's what I was talking about a little bit ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in that case, I mean, I never bought any of it and I'm a loser, but if I did, yeah, I would be interested in rotating it. I know it doesn't feel good because you're buying something at the lows, from the highs and something else. And that doesn't mean like sell it all, put it into here, the most aggressive altcoin you can find or whatever. But maybe DCAing out of something like that and putting it into crypto if you're so inclined. Many people are not going to do that though. Many people are going to call for gold to do another 2x this year and for silver to do 4x on top of it or something like that. So But who am I? I mean, they've won, and all I've done is lost. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but I think that's what he meant by that. But as long as you do something like that safely and you feel like you know what you're doing, and I think do it again in a DCA type way. Yeah,
yeah. My opinion is if you have fresh capital, try to buy some of the dips. Try to buy some of those while they're at extreme lows, or what we think maybe extreme lows. It could go even lower. But trying to get out of one thing into another can really end up horribly bad, and you end up with a lot less of both things. So yeah, I don't like the whole trying to play ratios, having hex and ehex, for example, trying to play that. There have been some people that have made out very well with it. I don't recommend it. I would much rather, people try to, even slowly. Someone said they were picking up nickels and dimes and stuff, finding it in parking lots and buying, every little bit helps, right? I mean, at these prices, can you imagine when it does do something and goes up, you're going to get a hell of a return. So I think fresh capital is still the best way to go.
I can't really imagine it, but I hope it does happen someday. Well, one of these years. Iron Class Schools or whatever. He's the one that's obsessed with your lows.
Yeah, I remember.
Man who's been pushing gold was right and Richard Hart was wrong. I don't know if he's talking about like Peter Schiff or just
that was
man, but
that was the Peter Schiff episode whenever they kind of did a little bit of a battle or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a timeline thing. I mean, yeah, if you want to say on a certain timeline that, yeah, Peter Schiff looks freaking amazing right now. But I mean, he constantly says this stuff and said it through the entire last bull market. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
when gold did absolutely nothing. I mean, if you look at the price back then, when he was pushing it, let's actually do that. Um, he was pushing it back here when it was flat for I don't know 4 or 5 years. It really didn't do anything. If you had bought in at like 2000 back in August of 2020, and the rest of the markets did what they did, and it stayed flat and actually lost money the whole way through to, you were down until I guess it would have been December of 2023. So you were basically down for 3 years if you had bought into this. It's just like buying the top of any other thing, I guess. But now it's doubled. You've gotten a 2x. I think most of us are here for more than a 2x. Just a speculation, but it is a safe play, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with holding some gold. But again, I think we're here for more than just a 2x.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I forget what I was going to say. Everybody just looks different on a different time frame. You're either going to look really right or really wrong, and the people that are going to be loud and look right at the time, everybody's going to talk about them, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, they've been right so far, but I mean, hindsight's 2020. I mean, the people that are right are the people like if you buy crypto right now, I feel like you're probably going to be looking right, eventually pretty well in the future. Right now, people would be laughing at you, though. That's just kind of the nature of it. So
Viper Styles is actually saying taking some of the gold or silver ratio, like if you have some of that. Well, I mean, do you think this is about the top of gold? If you do, then I would say rotate out. If there's a little bit more left, most people don't get to call a top or a bottom. So,
right.
You're not going to call it perfectly, but yeah, I mean, I think if you've had gold for a while, now would be a great time to take your 2x and roll it into something that you think is going to go up. Again, that's not really financial advice, but why wouldn't you? If then you could sell out and buy back into gold once it kind of dips or does whatever. There's a lot of people that do play those markets, and they will take their profits from here and roll it into something a little bit more risky. And it's a waiting game at that point. And then, they rotate back to their, a lot of people do it with Bitcoin, and they'll play Bitcoin, they'll take some profits and roll it into altcoins. And then at the end of the cycle, usually roll it back into Bitcoin and then do it all over again. So it's definitely a strategy. You got to find the one that works best for you, I guess, and what you're comfortable with. But yeah.
Well, you could always just sell it temporarily into cash as well. I mean, I personally, I think if I were in gold or silver, would be DCAing out of it right now. You know what I mean? Like, again, DCAing, not selling all of it or making some sweeping generalization, but
right.
And figuring out what you want to do from there. So
sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, stables are always an option too. I mean, you don't have to go into something right away, especially if you feel that the rest of the markets are going to continue to go down.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys are here and enjoying the stream so far, do us a favor and hit the like. We appreciate you being here to commiserate with us as crypto tries to crawl out of the abyss here. So let's get over to the PulseChain ecosystem. We'll check out what the prices are there, as we've seen a little bit of a recovery off the lows. Also, Bitcoin dipping once again as we're on the air now. ETH has gone down about $30 already. Let's take a look. Do you have it on the screen? Sorry, I was trying to use my phone.
I do.
All right. We have Pulse right now at 4015, basically. Pulse X at 401144. Inc at 59 cents. Hex at 0025. And eHex at 0008236. PDI, I don't remember. I have no idea. 0016 or something like that.
0018.
Okay, I was wrong. So there you go. That's where we are. PulseChain, obviously, the all-time low was back at 4 zeros, 1 2 4, something like that. So we've come off a little bit off of that, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, still at the all-time lows, still at an area where if you want a DCA into the ecosystem, you're basically buying the low. So there are options for you. Ewok was just speaking about DCAing a minute ago, about wanting to cool it, and that not just for PulseChain, but for everything on DCAing for a little bit to try to see if we get a reversal. Because again, you feel like you're kind of, walking through the woods. You could step in a bear trap or something like that, just with where we're at right now. Maybe it's a bull trap. I don't know. But you want to see some kind of sign to know where we're going. And again, I don't think very many people do. So if you're somebody who is inclined to just say like, well, I want to DCA into stuff that I have high conviction in at low prices, well, then you can continue to do that. Or if you want to feel a little bit safer, like many people do, you'd have to wait a little bit and see. But where do you feel about the PulseChain ecosystem prices right now? We could look at the Pulse chart and see if we're hitting resistance as we bounced off the low here from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm going to use pulsecharts.com. We'll go to that and share this one. And there's the other option is to get it into stable coins and put it in the stable pool. I think that's one of the things I had also mentioned to you in the Pulse X. There is the stable pool there that pays decent yield just for sitting, and there's not a whole lot of risk. I mean, obviously stable coins could collapse altogether, I suppose. But there isn't any kind of impermanent loss really, unless a stable coin were to lose its peg. But the ones that are there are pretty good. So anyway, here's the Pulse chart, and we are still kind of creeping right along that trend line that we've had. It did do a pullback, but it's on its way back up. May touch it, may go back down afterwards. The current trend kind of says that, right? It may hit the trend line and bounce back down. Now, as far as the support goes, may be a good thing that it happens to see if this old low really holds. That would be nice to see, even a double bottom, and further on maybe a triple bottom. That does signify that there are people out there that are kind of defending that zone. If it breaks through that, then we know, right? Then we know that it was probably a good thing to hold off on the DCA. But even for now, to see if it gets back to that level of the 1 2 4 zeros 1 2 whatever it was, is it definitely a good zone to maybe wait if it comes back to there before you DCA any further. Pick it up, and if other people defend it as well, that'll definitely be a good sign. But that's kind of probably what I would wait for, before throwing any more money in. Otherwise, like I said, it just doesn't look like a whole lot of strength. We'll see what happens when it gets to the trend line. If it breaks back down, then kind of keep a lookout for that 125, 126 area.
Yeah. I think it's definitely good to be prudent right now with this. And look, I mean, I don't think there's anybody who has and we'll get into this in a minute, but I don't think there's anybody who has a huge invested interest in putting a plug on a bottom anywhere necessarily. You know what I mean? Now you can say that when the ProveX sacrifice launched and some of the news about what tokens would be accepted, was that to help kind of create a bottom or not? I mean, it's hard to know where the rest of the market's going to go when you try things like that. And when the rest of the market goes down, well, the bottom that you may have tried to create, it might go a little bit lower. Or a lot lower. I don't know. But I don't think there's much incentive in current market conditions to, waste money by putting it in. If you want people to get out, then you want them to get out. If you kind of pick up what I'm putting down here a little bit. So I think that, obviously it could go lower. We don't know what the market conditions are right now. I'm basically just going to continue cautiously DCAing. I'm probably not going to go in, think about like 2024, early 2025. We all had this idea like, well, the light's at the end of the tunnel, Q4 of 2025. Let's see where we're at then. So I was DCAing with reckless abandon the entire time.
Yeah.
Now it's like you're getting the advantage of buying the cheapest prices ever, but also you want to get a little bit of a sense of a direction. So, no hate on anybody if you aren't DCAing as hardcore as you were because you're trying to figure things out,
Yeah. Because I did bring up the stable pool and someone asked why Coast was at 75 cents.
Yeah, I was responding to them in the chat, but go ahead. Yeah, we'll bring that up.
Oh, well, so we had asked, when are you going to bring back the mint function? And they said, well, we don't have clarity. And whoever said it, Viper Styles maybe said it. It's the Genius Act, because there is no clarity on the stablecoin within Coast, and they don't have approval for it. I think that they stopped minting it, and a lot of it has sold off or transferred out. That's why the value is where it is. So when you go in through Old Glory Bank now, you can no longer mint Coast as at a stable.
Right.
Essentially, they do allow you to buy Pulse X, Hex, Weight Token. There's a couple other ones that you can get, but you can no longer mint it. So I know at one point there were a few pools that were like 80-20 ratios over on the PH side of things for those stables, but I don't know if they're still there. It was paired 80% tether to 25% or 30% Coast. So again, that could have fallen. They could have, since they're no longer minting it, that could have been taken away too. I haven't looked, but that is why Coast is where it's at, and they've kind of moved away from that until there's some sort of clarity with the Genius Act and being allowed to mint stables.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much been it. I mean, they've been at this for a while, and the CST thing, I think, whatever you want to call it, depegging or not being a dollar, I think they're just dealing with all of this, but you've still been able to use the platform. You can still, again, like you said, Ewok, just buy the ecosystem prices on there with UST and stuff like that. So still can get straight on the PulseChain from Coast, which is really good. And then if you want to use other products too, I mean, if you want to get on an exchange first, of course, now Coast is a centralized exchange, of course, to an extent. But if you want to get on Coinbase, Kraken, whatever, I mean, then you have the option. You'd have to go through them. Sometimes you're waiting for a deposit to clear, and then you got to send it. You could use Liberty Swap or something like that. But that is one of the nice things with Coast is if you do have an Old Glory Bank, you can just send it right onto the platform. You know what I mean? And you're there basically. So yeah, I think we agree, Ewok. I mean, on the PulseChain prices, I don't think we're hitting new all-time highs this month. But I still want to be cautiously DCAing. Like I know people are very scared and cautious right now, but I can't just sit there constantly letting cash sit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In case the market decides that it wants to be bullish for a change. But I understand not going all in either. So, yeah.
No, I personally think that people should wait for a little bit more of a reversal or maybe defending that zone of price, because if it does dip lower, a lot of people who have been DCAing in the whole time down, it feels like every time you do, there's a lower price that's coming. So,
yeah,
if you've been hardcore, and I know you personally have been hardcore about DCAing, personally, again, I would wait for some sort of confirmation, some sort of reversal, rather than have that feeling of just every time I put in, it goes down further. So,
yeah, I probably won't, and just buy right away. So
sure, do whatever.
We'll see what happens.
Your money, man.
It was my money.
Yeah,
all All right. If you guys are enjoying the stream, do us a favor, hit the like button. We appreciate all of you being here. Really active chat tonight. I mean, we've talked about how viewership just across crypto is in the gutter basically now. And yeah, we're definitely a little bit down, but you can see who the OGs are here. I mean, these people that are in here tonight, these are people that are here every single week, have been here every single week for 4 years with us. And yeah, are still excited about the market in a time that it is not exciting. So awesome to see all of you. Let's kind of go into some of these posts.
We're built differently, man. That's the best way to say it is our community, the Hex PulseChain community. People are built different. It's not like others. So kudos to you guys.
Yes, definitely agree, and appreciate all of you. Let's look at some of these Richard Hart posts about Twitter, X, what he feels his reach is and things like that. I know I sent you maybe 10 of them because it was just, honestly, the sentiment was kind of spread out amongst a few posts, but I kind of thought, and then there's also the Grand Inquisitors post about it. I think that one post that you, I think, had sent me, but if you can find the one about Richard, here we go. Let's see what you got here. Saving his impact. So here we'll just see what we can do. He says the funny part of the X algo is they have no idea what it will actually end up being. So whatever it is now is just going to get changed again and again. So just I guess I should have set this up a little bit better. But there's been debate over the last few weeks about like, is crypto Twitter being censored? Is it just the algo in general sucks? The answer is pretty much yes to the algo. And this, I think Richard nailed it on the head here, is it's always changing. You never have any idea what's going on. Elon or whoever it is beneath him are constantly screwing around with it. That's been the one constant since he's taken over the platform. Now, hey, I think we're all happy that people aren't getting, like canceled left and right on the platform anymore. And it wasn't, it was a safe space only for certain people. And we remember the Twitter file thing that came out a few years ago and stuff like that. I mean, that all is objectively better, but they just won't quit putting their fingers in it and messing things up, which I think we're seeing. And we know, I mean, you look at Richard the last few weeks, he's been trying to gain traction, gain awareness, gain followers. He's done reply guy stuff and everything. And he's obviously frustrated with it. So do you also have the one, unless you have thoughts on this comment by him here, but the one where he says about like trying to maximize his reach, because he just can't really do that right now.
Maybe this one. I keep trying different things.
Yep. So he says, I keep trying different things till I find what works. Posting lots of replies just lost me followers, or at least followers were lost with what appeared to be a causal relationship to me providing free content to this platform. I'd rather save my impact for when it hits harder. So yeah, talking about Twitter negatively, that if you want to go down a little bit further, it's kind of reminding me of The Shining, that door thing right there. Okay, yeah. So and then the Alex Fast. Whoa. Or yeah, that's a baseball personality. Fast Abdul. He says, "Do what works." The video you have pinned has 2.4 million views. Do more of that. Yeah, and there's a lot of sentiment in there. Actually, before we move on to what some other people said, because I also sent you a reply. I don't know if it was to this tweet, but we'll get to it in a moment. What do you make of Richard's comment here, though? Because in terms of his reach at being a personality out there within the crypto space is one thing, but we've also heard about funds potentially being injected into the ecosystem, and why waste that energy when the market overall is just not at that level. It seems like he's kind of talking about the same thing in terms of like appearing, being on stream, tweeting, posting, whatever. Retail isn't here. There's not enough people to listen. It seems like that's what he's saying. So is that a good strategy? Like, don't speak even when there's not a lot of people here? I don't know.
Well, I think so. I think that's kind of what he's saying without saying it. He mentioned that certain entities have tried to buy the price up and people just sell it right back down. He's also trying different things as far as reply guy goes. And I don't know. I should have bookmarked it and I sent it to you. We know the algorithm for X is open source. And there's different point systems. Like if you get a like, it's worth 0.5 points. But if you get comments, it's worth like 13 or 15 points. So crazy how much more the comments that you receive help you with the algorithm as far as likes do, or even reshares is maybe like 5, but comments actually really kick in. So, being open source, we know what they are. I wish I would have saved that post to show you guys the crazy difference in what really does affect it. But reply guy Richard, some of his comments though, I could probably see why people unfollowed.
Yeah.
He was kind of being a smartass, and but that's always been Richard, kind of cocky, a little bit. I don't know the right word to use.
I know what you mean. Just like arrogant and stuff like
yeah,
that.
a little arrogant, and I think in Richard's mind, he thinks he's being funny, but I think some people get offended or rubbed the wrong way by it. So I can see why that type of mentality or that type of action has lost him followers. Maybe there were people that were following him at one point that are no longer. So yeah, it's changed. The whole scenery has changed a little bit. So yes, while we're very thankful for Elon for obtaining this and saving free speech for the most part, yeah, things have changed. Now, do I think they are shadow banning crypto Twitter? I don't think so. I don't think that's the case at all. There were some posts that were made how they're trying to do away with it, but again, when things get heated up, I don't think it's going to matter. They can try to hide it, but there's going to be so much activity, so many people talking about it, that even if they try to shadow ban it, it's not going to work. So I really don't think that is the case. It's just I think you're seeing the result of people have lost interest, and truly, I think that's what it really is more than anything. So
Yeah, I guess to me, it's like I definitely understand not wanting to, pump an ecosystem or anything during these times. But in terms of why not maybe make more appearances or talk more, maybe not do reply guy stuff, but there are probably reasons for that. Do you have okay? So I sent you a reply of somebody who had a very thoughtful and lengthy reply to him. I think in this thread somewhere that Richard actually responded to. Yeah, crypto. I don't know this person. Crypto.
This is Crypto Sparbuck. This is the German guys who were actually part of the very first Hex tour across the country. This is Hex Lion and I forget his name. Either way, he dated Jory.
I guess he doesn't have your respect enough to garner a follow from you, but
well, they got kind of into the whole shilling the oranges and
I think I do remember them now that you're saying it. Yeah, I do remember these guys.
So
yeah.
I unfollowed. I wasn't a fan of what they were trying to push.
You're talking about the Tang Gang? Aren't they still? I see Tang Gang stuff on my feed every day. They're very prominent, very loud. A high fever pitch community. Just kidding. I haven't seen anything from any of them in a very long
exactly. Time. I'm like, well, I don't know because I don't follow them. But either way, that's who these guys are. The German guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But anyway, so he says, "Hi Richard, I track your account since years and analyze your followers since years. One thing, how obviously you can tell he's German a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing, how your follower growed was in Twitter Spaces because you speak to an audience that wasn't yours from other X accounts, and people liked what they heard from you because you are smart. They clicked to follow. Give it a try and go to Spaces with another big X account, and mark my words, your follower will raise instantly."
Yeah.
First off, before even looking at his response, I think everybody loved this because it's true. I remember, I feel like it was in the days, weeks, months after COVID and stuff. Remember that he was like in Spaces talking about a lot of finance stuff, and it was awesome. Like I remember, a couple months back, somebody clipped one of them from one of the conversations with that Mario Narfall or whatever.
Yep.
And that Kim.com guy were always in there.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody clipped something from one of them from like 2021, 2022. And I was like, my God, I forgot how good these were. Like he was just showing up in these spaces and like sounding extremely smart. And I couldn't agree more. Those were awesome times for anybody that missed them. But let's see Richard's response here. He says,
"Oh, sorry, hang on, let me." Yeah, it was Abit.
That's
Abit was Abit Hex. Here, so
yeah.
there's Richard.
Richard says, true. So very cool of him to reply, obviously, and agree kind of. He said, I still got to focus outside of this here app because I need to scale like the X dudes hope their app scales, not by trying to scale off their scale. For a dude at my level, sucking this particular middleman D don't work, or it'd be working. Basically, I think CT Crypto Twitter died. So helping... educate victims of dumb crypto Twitter dudes is lower impact because it's just tumbleweeds out there. Useful response to remind me what does work on X though. So that was cool of him to say. For when things pick up around these parts again, every crypto Twitter influencer is getting pretty bad views and likes.
Yeah,
that's an interesting. I mean, yeah, I get it. Like the reach just isn't there to do that right now. So I do understand that. And his whole thing. I mean, if you think about like the ethos of a lot of the things he's been trying to do over the last few months is getting outside the echo chamber. Think of the advertising. Like everybody's widely panning, sending out these tablets to people that are not in crypto at all, you know, that may have children and stuff like that. It's a totally different group of people from who's already here. I mean, some, yeah, but I mean, it's not what you expect them to do. Prove X, which we'll talk about in a minute, you know, opening that up to the rest of crypto, and it's not a PulseChain centric thing. It's hopefully to get people to PulseChain, but it's not just for PulseChain. So he's been kind of advocating for these ideas. So anyway, what did you make of this reply and the Twitter Spaces stuff, and then what Richard said back here?
Well, yeah, I thought it was extremely thoughtful. Was happy to see that he did acknowledge that being a good part. Now, again, we kind of just talked about it. That's when everything was heated. When things are like that and things are popping up left and right, it had a lot of impact because Richard is intelligent, and he educated so many people, right? I mean, I still remember that Spaces where it was Richard, Elon was in there as well, and they ended up cutting him off, or they took him off of being a speaker just as he was about to talk to Elon. So that kind of really sucked, and those guys having that much control over it, whatever. Anyway, I'll never forget that he was like this close to having a conversation with Elon, and they yanked yanked him down from being a speaker. So but I do agree. I mean, he's trying to hit bigger outside of just Twitter. It is an echo chamber, no matter how big we think it is, no matter how many millions of people. But you also have to realize there's a lot of people on here that haven't heard of him or Hex or PulseChain or any of that. So while he may be trying to reach outside, there is still a whole lot of people inside that can be you know talked to and made aware of this. So I mean, I guess he wants the biggest bang for his buck, pretty much. But at this point, I think you got to start slow. I think you got to kind of work your way back up to that when it becomes useful. So I don't know. It's tough to you know, he's a much better marketer than I am. Obviously, has been doing it a lot more for a lot more years than you know any of us. So I trust what he's doing, and he will keep trying different things until something clicks. I mean, I know that he's pretty determined to get out there. So I agree. I think TikTok, Wall to Wall just said it. He has to get on TikTok.
Wall to Wall's been very active in here tonight. He is definitely praying his massive PulseChain bags go up with the rest of us, I think.
Well,
but yeah, getting on TikTok, very interesting idea. Definitely don't think it'll happen, but
I don't either.
Here's the thing with the TikTok thing. Like, here's what I wonder. And I call me a boomer, whatever you want. Call me sane. I don't have TikTok, never have had TikTok, probably never will have TikTok. Do you think the people that are on there are going to get into crypto. I don't know. It just strikes me as a very
yes, because there's a lot of younger people that are out there that have access to a lot of these things with their phones. You have to remember what happened last cycle. Kids were talking about Robinhood at 13, 14 years old, having portfolios, and it was crazy. That's the type of situation that we get when retail actually comes in. Like it or not, these kids are more technological than some of the older people. You get enough of that group, that genre, it does make a huge impact. And that's when the green candles start to come for other people to see them and be like, oh, this could be a good buy. That's when the bigger candles hit then. So it takes a lot of smaller candles, a smaller group, I think, to get excited, to get invested together, which brings the smaller green candles, which then in turn brings the bigger investors and the bigger candles. So just my opinion, I think something like TikTok would work. A lot of people have been trying this though. I mean, they've been taking a lot of his stuff, chopping it up into smaller videos and reposting it. It just doesn't hit the same when it's not him. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess my thing is just, do the people on there have money? Are they thinking about investing? I don't know. I mean, I literally don't know. I'm not saying yes or no, but and then DJ Moonboy brings up a good point too. Is he limited to what he can and should be doing? I mean, that's another point that we've brought up before too. What do you think about that?
Well, we don't know, right? We don't know what legal implications there still are. We do know there's still a red notice out there. But that's all the further we know. He would not answer questions about it, even when he was taking questions for the one video that he was doing and then answering them. He wouldn't answer anything about it. He said, I don't want to talk about it. I'm assuming the lawyers are still fighting it out, battling it out. When these countries want tax money, whether it's rightfully theirs or not, I don't know that you can just get things dropped. I would imagine if there's a educational trust or something like that set up in a different country, you would think that would be pretty easy to prove, right? And say, well, this doesn't belong to him or you, or you're not entitled to it. Case closed. You would think it could be as simple as that, but again, I don't know how involved it is, or what it entails to get something like that removed.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. It is interesting, though. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the Twitter algo and with crypto as a whole, not just our age, but it's interesting to see him experiment with it. Obviously, everybody wants him back, streaming, having his face all over everything. But we had 2019 to 2021 when retail was here. The business cycle was amazing. There was money printing in droves. We are just not in that atmosphere, even remotely. We have not been. It's been a quantitative tightening last 4 years. It's been a low business ISM business cycle last 4 years. Or not the whole 4 years, but for the last 2 to 3 years anyway. So we just gotta wait on it. But I would definitely like to see more of RH, but I do also understand capitalizing whenever the time is, when the wind is in your sails too. So let's move on to this, because we are really long-winded on this stuff tonight, and I want to make sure we talk about this. So you want to pull up Buck's post about launching ProveX on Ethereum, because I think this is pretty interesting. And Buck from Fiat and Fame has been talking about ProveX extremely. I mean, he's been one of the mega bulls on ProveX since the announcement of it. And I think, if for nothing else, it's mainly been because of the low valuation that it raised.
Right.
Now you will see the final numbers, but I mean, from regular investors, it was basically $16.5 million is what was raised for ProveX, which for a Richard Hart product is egregiously low. But it was, again, everything that we've already been talking about, the where we're at with the market, the amount of money that people do or don't have right now, the sentiment. People are not going to be largely participating in that. And as such, ProveX only raised 16.5 million, whereas PulseChain, PulseX raised hundreds upon hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
So, people have talked about like when will the ProveX token launch? When will the actual product come out? You and I are both on record, Ewok, of saying that we definitely think we'll get a token before the product because it seems like it's kind of been airmail from things RH has said. But in terms of the product, so and the token, I guess. So Buck said, hot take, launch ProveX native on Ethereum, not because PulseChain isn't home, but because ETH is where the outside money lives. Bridge it to PulseChain, seed massive Pulse LP, and PulseChain becomes the main trading venue regardless. If you want PulseChain to win, import capital, don't recycle it. ProveX is the route for capital to PulseChain, and tags Richard Hart. I mean, I think there's been talk about this, and I think it's honestly a great idea. It may not be what people want to hear, but I definitely think it is the right thing to do. And I think it was the right thing to do to not accept the PulseChain tokens for the sacrifice as well. I mean, it's kind of the direction that Richard's already been going with it. So yeah, what do you make of this idea by Buck?
Well, I like it. The only thing I don't like is then you have to bridge everything, right? So then everything becomes wrapped to get it over to PulseChain. However, he makes a point. There is so much more money that lives in ETH that you can get over to PulseChain that way. You've got all the ETH tokens, all the ERC coins. You've got wrapped Bitcoin that you could tie it with. There are just so many more opportunities to get, like he said, import the capital. And again, I like the idea. Now, we know he also, or they accepted Solana, they accepted Tron, they accepted Binance. So that being the main route, I know there's bridges from each of those chains over to Ethereum as well. I just think it makes a lot more sense. I think, again, closer to the on and off ramps is always the best option. And why I still think eHex will do fine. When things heat up and finally get running, I still think that eHex will do just fine. It is closer to all the money that Buck is talking about here. So yeah, I like the idea. I think it's a good idea. I think if you bridge it over and then that's where you put the majority of the liquidity, why not, right? Why it doesn't really matter where it was launched. It matters where the liquidity is for it. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the idea. I mean, the whole thing has been aimed at bringing in new users into PulseChain. So I almost would say that it's likely that he does something like this. And I mean, you bring up an interesting point about everything being wrapped whenever it comes over, but I think a lot of people are used to that to an extent. I mean, if you bridge to a new chain, I mean, if you're this deep into it, I think you're probably used to things like that. So yeah, I think you definitely go for Ethereum. And I agree with your point about eHex as well. I mean, never going to say that, oh, yeah, it's going to run harder than anything else in the ecosystem. But
right.
You and I, since the day PulseChain launched, have stuck by, like, you're not picking a hex here. I mean, like, and that's even with the founder himself saying things like the market is chosen. And, even just recently, like I've told you before, like, why would you? I mean, I don't think he's directly said don't buy eHex or anything like that, but he's definitely said hex is the superior one. And I totally understand that. I mean, why wouldn't he say that? But you can't let, eHex isn't going to just die. I know a lot of people want to just shoot the legs off of it, but it's not.
So here's the other side of that, right? Richard Hart designs or comes up with his own blockchain and launches his token back on Ethereum instead of his own. So there's that narrative too. And I think that could be kind of harmful to his brand. People can probably spin that in a very, very bad way. The guy made his own blockchain and now he's going to launch a token back on Ethereum. does that, I think that creates a lot of confusion. So, as much as we admit that the most of the money, the majority of the money is on Ethereum, what kind of look is that? He built PulseChain because the fees were high. Well, now they're no longer high. Now when the markets heat back up, will they be? There's a good chance, depending on again, the tokenization of everything else that's out there. If it gets put on Ethereum, we could be in another problem, and I think that would only benefit PulseChain more. But right now, the fees are super low. The reason that PulseChain was built isn't necessary right now. So, there's that spin too, and that's the opposite of being bullish about doing it. I think it creates a bad spin, a bad take on why PulseChain was created in the first place. So,
I don't know. I don't see it that way. I mean, I guess, yeah, like, I know you're talking hypothetically about other people seeing it that way, but
yeah,
I mean, with him, I know he talks about wanting glory and things like that, but at the same time, he wants the products to kind of stand on their own. He doesn't want to be like, this is a Richard Hart product. You don't see Richard Hart's name all over the PulseChain website or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it seems pretty clear to me why he would do it, and people can say what they want. I mean, people are criticizing him for everything that he's done already anyway.
sure.
So, and he already has a token on Ethereum, so that, people are not killing, or, despite some people's wishes for them to. So I don't know. Viper Styles here, he says, Ewok, so you meant the token on ETH, but you want the monetary value on PulseChain. He says, I'm confused on that, because extra step to get your value, which people dislike extra steps in function. So I guess maybe Viper's talking about like the initial maybe claiming, which there wouldn't be necessarily a claim, but the initial
launch.
Airdrop. Yeah, I don't know. Do you mean the airdrop of the token? Because, I mean, that's just going to happen. You know what I mean? So if it's on Ethereum, you would just get the ProveX tokens in the wallet that you're sacrificed from on Ethereum, basically.
Well, that's Buck's main point. That's the first sentence. Hot take: launch ProveX native on Ethereum.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where he's saying it should be launched from, and then bridge it to PulseChain, put the LP in Pulse and PulseX on with the bridged token. So, yeah, and now I agree with you. People don't like that extra step. It is a roadblock, so to speak, where you don't have a direct ramp. So yes, you're going to still need a bridge or another step to get over to PulseChain, but many pairs will already be over there, and I assume Viper Styles, you're already on PulseChain, so it's not an extra step for those who are already there. But to get new money, yes, I agree, it is an extra step for people, and we know how many people don't like an extra step. The ones that the whole IPFS thing was, that whole extra click of the button to be a little bit safer. We know they didn't like that either. So I get your point. I get your point completely.
I remember one individual that was banging that particular drum for a very long time. But I get it. People don't want to bridge things. There's, bridge risk security and stuff like that. I'm totally fine with it. I mean, a lot of us that use DeFi and stuff have used bridges many, many, many times. And it is what it is. I'm all for it launching on Ethereum, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. And Valiant low key, maybe a Liberty swap will help. I mean, yeah, you could use something like that possibly. I'm sure there's many ways you could easily get it across. Some people just don't want to go through, like, honestly, on PulseChain.com, the PulseChain bridge is not heavily advertised on there. Like, I have to search and find it. I forget where it is. Then it seems like it's hidden even more another time that I go in. So I don't think there's anybody out there trying to be like, the only way you got to go to PulseChain is through the actual native PulseChain bridge. As you guys have said, there's Liberty Swap and other front ends and stuff like that too. That's just the most prominent one right now. So,
yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, that is that. I got to be honest with you, Ewok. I wouldn't mind wrapping up a couple minutes early this evening. I got snow to shovel and things to do tomorrow. If you want any final kind of thoughts that you may have this evening here.
Final thought. This whole Tom Lee and Mr. Beast is quite interesting. We haven't really talked about it, and we don't really need to go deep into it. But I believe he gave 200 million or something like that to Mr. Beast to help, advertise and get the word out there. I think that could be huge. We'll see. I know Mr. Beast has a huge following, millions and millions of people that follow his platform. So keep an eye out for that. I'm interested to see how that pans out. But yeah, and again, this is all speculation. Richard will do what he wants and probably not listen to Buck or any of us and do what he wants. But it is exciting to see those type of relationships form, right? So we'll see how it plays out and what comes of it. But yeah, I'm excited. I think there are things that are lining up. I wish we could have talked about the Armstrong thing because I think that's important, but we'll save that for next week because who knows? There's still maybe nothing going on at that point. It's been pretty quiet in crypto, so
that's probably the never-ending story as well. So we got a lot of that going on.
Yeah,
more macro stuff will be going on. We always have taxes that we can get into, which I don't really want to do right now, but Viper Styles, I actually kind of feel the same way. I don't know that it's that hot of a take. I think it also might just be because I'm not his target audience, because I'm not a little kid. But I don't know. I don't know who watches Mr. Beast. I would have never heard of him if he wasn't on Rogan's podcast a few years back, which actually was a really interesting episode, I thought. But yeah, I never would have heard of him until then. So yeah, DJ Moonboy, I know you don't got to. You can just shovel your sunshine down there, but yeah. Anywho, so that's where we're at. So yeah, long story short about the market right now. I mean, yeah, it's just continuing to hang in there. I think comment of the night might have just been Philly earlier. I put it on the screen, but essentially he said, "Put your head down, keep working hard. Eventually, your time will come." And in some way, I'm a firm believer in that. If there's something that you really want, that you'll sacrifice anything for it, that you'll sacrifice anything for it. Like, you don't give a shit. It's no doubt about it. It's something that is valuable to you. Yep. You will somehow win in the end. Will it look exactly like maybe the dream you pictured? Maybe not. Like, maybe it's not the exact number of X's. Clearly it's taking longer. I mean, clearly if we're talking about the crypto thing, the window of time is taking longer. So if it does happen in a way that is something that you desire, it may not happen the exact way you want to. But I do believe that anybody that dedicates their time the way we dedicate to this or anything else in your life, you're usually going to see some kind of fruit be bared from that. So born, bared, whatever. Yeah. So anyway,
I know what you mean.
Do you have anything else? I guess you kind of already said your final thoughts now that I'm thinking about it.
No, I think that's it for me.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we appreciate it. You guys have been freaking awesome tonight. So
as always.
Yes. I would shout out every one of you if I could, but I'll do my best. We had Philly, DJ Moonboy, of course. Me now. I don't recognize you, but Marco, haven't seen you here in a while. Viper Styles, Valiant Low Key. We had Tam here earlier. Wall to Wall TV. Shout out to him. I saw NJ Dub feeling a little bit bearish in the chat tonight. We got Ryan. Bit Finesse was here a lot tonight. Hex Wizard. Yellowtail. Haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, really appreciate you guys. We do this every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Enjoy the markets this week. Enjoy whatever it is you are interested in. Look at Wall to Wall TV. We might just be friends. Duke of Booze here too. Yeah. So I forgot to mention him. So thank you guys. We will be here next week, same time, same channel for Crypto Ewok. This has been Blizzard Boy Crypto. We'll see you next week right here on the Creed of Crypto.
See ya. Stay warm.